Hi, good evening, and welcome to the Dare Act Conversation series, powered by the Grey Matter. Our guest today is Aparna Das. Hi, Aparna, I hope you're here. I'm going to check in to see. Give us a moment while Aparna joins us.
Hi.
Hi, Aparna.
Hi, Aparna.
Take the liberty to now that you joined us. Aparna is a former corporate lawyer turned entrepreneur. She runs Noah Design, which is very well known for the handloom textile work that they do. Aparna, we're going to talk to you today to understand when your right wing took over the left wing and when design and block thinking replaced contract and commercial work. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the introduction, Tanisha. I'm so glad to be on Dare Act.
Our pleasure, and thank you. All right, so let's get right to it.
Yeah.
Vidar, as we've understood from you were introduced to art and craft and sort of a lot of the local traditional art forms very early on. Tell us a little bit about that and how it influenced, how it influenced your stand-up.
Yes. Formative years, as they say, Tanisha, has a huge impact on your adult life. And that's been very true in my case. My parents, both of them, are very artistically inclined. They draw and they paint. And growing up, I remember my house always smelled of oil paints and turpentine oil. And, there was always a canvas waiting to be painted upon. And my mother still does art. She's very active with theater, and my father does cartoons on a daily basis. So naturally, I also took to drawing and painting myself. And like most kids, they're girls and boys.
Aparna. Our apologies. Aparna is, I think, facing a bit of an internet issue, but we will definitely bring her back. Please bear with us. Yes, Neha, Aparna was frozen. We've lost her. She'll be back soon. Times of the internet are a bane and a boon, aren't they? It can swing both ways. Hi, Aparna. We lost you there. But you're back now. Aparna? Hi, can you hear me? Aparna, give us a moment, please, for those who are live.
Hi, Aparna.
Hi.
Hi, you're back. Yes.
Hi, you're back. Are you back? Yeah.
Right. Shall we continue?
Sorry, we've lost Aparna again. Please bear with us while we try and bring her back. Neha, let me know if my voice is still echoing, please, to ensure that I'm able to get rid of that problem. Please bear with us. Aparna will be back shortly. Thanks, Malvika. That's helpful. We'll just wait for Aparna to come back. Okay. Please bear with us. Waiting for Aparna to join us. In the meanwhile, why don't I take a moment to tell you about the Dare Act series while we wait for Aparna. For those of you who are familiar, I'm sorry about the repetition, but for those of you watching for the first time, the Dare Act is powered by the Grey Matter, an initiative we kickstarted very, very recently during the pandemic when we felt like there was a real need for content which would encourage lawyers or students who didn't want to continue the practice of the law or practicing lawyers who needed a bit of a nudge to move away from the practice in case they were, they had a different kind of a calling. And then we've started building this community, and it's such a wonderful, encouraging bunch of people, all lawyers either by practice or qualification who've chosen, to just pursue very different interests. And this is what we do during the Dare Act series. We talk to them, we engage with them and understand what their journeys have been like. So thank you for joining us and watching. I'm going to try and bring Aparna back on. Please bear with me. Okay, hopefully we will have her here in a moment. Hi, Smita. Hi, Suchi. Thanks for waving right back at you. Right. We are waiting for Aparna to join us. She will be here shortly.
After she's off there. Hi, Aparna. That's a nice set of books there. Hi. Hi, Lily.
Hi. So sorry, I'm having power failures today.
Don't worry about it at all.
So,
Yes,
well,
please continue.
we
You were
just-
telling us about oil paints and how there was always some form of, whether it was theatre or it was art, something was happening which was activating the right brain.
So yeah, I was telling you about my childhood growing up. My parents, they've always painted and drawn, and a lot of people recall their houses smelling of good food. I can recall turpentine oil and oil paints because they were always painting. So that was my childhood, and as a result of which I took to painting and drawing myself. And like most kids, girls and boys, their introduction to saris is through their mother, and that was true even in my case. My mother not just has a huge collection of handloom saris, but she also has a keen interest in Indian handlooms and has a very vast knowledge of Indian handlooms and textiles. And she always made it a point to take me and my sister along with her to every artisan or weaver she bought her saris from. And my father, he was in the army, so we led a very nomadic life. He's been posted to all these remote areas where handicrafts and handloom was the way of life. If you wanted a new dress, you had to go to the local bazaar or meet a weaver, purchase their product, and my mom would eventually stitch the frock or skirt, and she did that well into my teen years. So yeah, that was my childhood. In fact, just before I quit law firm, my father is posted in Secunderabad. Not very many people are aware of Secunderabad's rich hand block printing history. And we happen to be close to a printing unit, and my mother and I, we would spend hours just poring over the blocks and the designs and coming up with new color combinations. Early exposure to craft communities, the conditioning as a child has definitely shaped who I am today, and I have to give a lot of credit for that to my parents.
That is wonderful, and it's so important, right? What we're introduced to in our childhood, because
Yes,
that kind of
yes.
carries forward. And look at the impact it has. It enables you to set up a business and run it so successfully.
Yeah.
That's super.
Yes,
So tell
definitely.
us why did you choose to study the law?
I've always painted and drawn, but unfortunately never took it seriously enough to take it up as a profession, to study it. But law, on the other hand, was a very calculated move on my part to ensure that engineering didn't happen to me. I had a few
Right.
calls from engineering colleges as well as law colleges, and I was waiting to hear from Nalsar. I was on their wait list, but time was of the essence, and decisions had to be made. So, in the summer of 2002, I decided to join Symbiosis that would take me as far away as possible from an engineering college.
Wonderful. So just to avoid engineering, you went ahead and sort of studied in a way.
Yes, of course. I mean, there was keen interest in law from the very beginning. It wasn't just a backup plan. But yeah, definitely one of the primary reasons to study law was to stay away from numbers.
And what are the odds that you tried to stay away from the from numbers, and then while you were in law school, a little birdie tells us that you would constantly be doodling behind their acts and all your notes.
Yes. Yes, yes. I've done that throughout my classes, my lectures. In fact, if a page did not have a doodle, I would assume that I did not read it.
Read it.
I mean, it could have been blank.
There had to be some. That was your version of marking up.
Yes.
Okay, super. And so after the law, I think you spent about 2.5 years being a lawyer, right? A corporate lawyer. And a very good one at that, I'm told. Pretty thorough and, very invested in what you did. And then what happened? When did this epiphany sort of kick in where you said, I don't want to do this anymore?
So all told, I worked for about 5.5 years, what seems like my past life.
I know that feeling, Aparna.
Yes, I'm sure. Out of that 2.5 years, I was in the corporate and M&A space. But this rose-tinted image of a corporate lawyer soon became this desaturated monotone pretty early on. But at that time, I think even I was trying to figure out things for myself. And I misread or misunderstood this feeling of not belonging in this space to be a disillusionment with law firms. So my next move was to a tech ed startup that worked in the field of legal education. I was with them for about 3.5 years. It was culturally diametrically opposite to a law firm. But, again, that feeling of not belonging never left me. And I was always looking to move out, but, still going round in circles. And I think by then I had begun toying with the idea that maybe law wasn't meant for me. And I think I'd reached a point in my life where I needed to change direction or change my path to move ahead.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay, so it was a consistent feeling that you were living with for a while, and then you kind of felt like, okay, now my direction has to change. Otherwise, this feeling is going to stay on longer and it's going to sort of infest. I think we've lost Aparna again. Please bear with us. I think she's got a bit of a network issue at her end today. Hi, Aparna. I don't think I can hear you. Those who've logged in to watch Aparna, please bear with us. She will be back shortly. Minor technical glitch that we're dealing with. Oh, don't worry about it, Aparna. It happens all the time. We're all dealing with technical issues on and off. Don't be sorry at all. Let's find a way to get you back on.
Bear with us. She will be here shortly. I'm going to invite her again. Yes, power cuts can be a real problem. Don't worry about it, Aparna. Most of us in the privileged parts of Bombay may not understand it, but it's genuinely very, very frustrating. So we understand. We're right here waiting for you, as are those who come to watch you and listen to you. You know how they say that with the good, there's some amount of bad. So you're stuck with me while Aparna is the good and you're kind of waiting for her to come back. So yeah, please bear with me until she's back. Feel free to chat with us and tell us what you like about the Grey Matter, about the Derac series, while we wait for our guest to come back on. And pardon her technical issues, please. Thanks, Shreya and Neha, for laughing loudly at
My jokes, they're barely jokes, but I appreciate the encouragement. Waiting for Aparna is like, when you make a payment on one of these platforms where you're not very confident whether the payment is going to go through. So it's the same feeling. And you're just waiting and you're like, will this happen? Will it go through or not? Heart in the mouth type of a situation. Shreya Unsuited is on Sunday, and this Sunday we've got a mother-daughter duo again, but a very different kind of a mother-daughter duo that they practice, in fact, a discipline of law that is rarely spoken of. It's family law, and they focus on matrimonial law and adoption law. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Aparna is here, I'm told. Aparna, I have sent you a request. I'm sending you a request again. Aparna, just accept the request I've sent you, please. It's just loading. I can see that you're coming back, but it's loading. So, unfortunately, I can't see you. Shreya, Neha, can you guys see her? Because you both said she's back. Hi, Beat, so waving right back at you. No, I'm absolutely not able to see or hear Aparna. Thanks, Malvika. Can't see her though. Thanks, Anuradha. Sorry, I can't see you either, Aparna.
In case
So,
everyone
everyone
hear
can
me,
see us, but we
I
can't see each other.
Tanisha. I'm waiting for Tanisha
Sorry about this. I know it can be exasperating.
log
It
back
sure
in.
is for Aparna and me. Aparna, why don't I invite you back again? Maybe it will work this time. Yes, Srishti, you're right. I don't think Aparna can see me either. You guys have a third party view. It's usually what happens. Yeah. Oh, what a pity. You can both hear us and see us. Thanks, Anuradha. Thanks, Sagzi. But unfortunately, we're not able to hear or see each other.
Let me log back in again.
Yeah, I think we've lost Aparna again, and hopefully she'll be back again. Bear with us as I invite her. Thanks everyone for being patient. I've invited you again, Aparna. Hopefully it'll go through
This time. Hi.
Hi.
You're
I'm
back.
so sorry. Major power cuts today. Usually
No
it's
problem.
not this bad.
Don't worry, we're not judging. All right.
You're in Bombay. You guys don't have power cuts.
That's what I said. Most of Bombay is very privileged like that, and we don't know what
Yes.
power cuts feel like.
Yes.
But I'm sure they can be very exasperating.
Oh, of course. I mean, you'll make the national news if you have power cuts like this.
I can imagine. Okay, so we were talking about your decision to move away from the law, and just you kind of toyed with the idea of being in the ancillary legal space, and then that was also not very satisfying. And then what happened?
That's when I decided to move on. That's when I decided that maybe I have to take change directions or change path. I'd reached that point in life where to move ahead, I had to do that. And that's when I decided to speak to my parents and decided to take the next step, which was of course a very, very tough call to make. I mean, going against the grain isn't easy for anyone, and it wasn't particularly easy for me either. I was going to give up something that I'd been associated with for so long, that had helped me pay my bills and had made me financially independent, which is something that a lot of women crave for. So that was very difficult to let go of. And putting the burden of the financial responsibility on my husband so early on in his career and so early on in our life was a very tough call to make too. Of course, breaking the news to my parents was a different ball game altogether. I don't come from a business background, so telling them that I'm going to be taking all my savings and putting it into a business that may or may not work out. I'm going to quit law completely. Sounded really preposterous back then, but surprisingly, they took it very well, and I've been very fortunate that I have such an amazing support system. My husband has been beyond amazing about my decision to start NUA. In fact, he was the one who sat me down one day and told me that I need to take a call. And it would be, it would be very remiss of me to not mention the support of my parents. I started NUA with my mother. My studio is in Secunderabad, where they are settled. They take care of the day-to-day operations, right from inventory management to account to couriers and orders. They take care of everything. And I'm this seasonal entrepreneur who shuttles between Bangalore and Secunderabad. So yeah, definitely it was a tough call to make, and I'm aware of my privilege and how fortunate I am to be blessed with such a strong support system.
Correct. Support systems are our greatest enablers, right?
Yes, yes, definitely.
That is wonderful, and three cheers for your husband and parents, but also your daughter, who's fairly young, and you've been able to sail through, I'm guessing, because she's been cooperative, though she's so little.
Yes, I mean, it's nice, when we would travel pre-COVID times, she would come with me to my studio, she'd play with the blocks, she'd learn pinking, and, she still talks about all of that. So, yeah, I mean, it's nice. I'd love for her to grow up in the studio, learn printing, with Venkatesh Bhaiya's son, he's also waiting to teach them. So yeah.
How wonderful. So it
Yeah.
kind of just gets passed on, right? Generation to
Yes,
generation.
yes.
That is lovely. Okay. So tell us, it was obviously a tough decision to, make this transition. And there must have been some level of fear, it's hugely intimidating as a thought to move away from the only thing we know, we've studied, to an absolutely, new space where you're an absolute novice. You don't have a marketing degree, you don't have a design degree, and then you've gone and set this business up. How did that go?
That's true. And, see, when I decided to quit law, I did it purely out of passion and a sense of responsibility. I was very well aware of the fact that I don't have a design background. I haven't studied it. I don't have a management background. I didn't even have accounts in school. So, I knew that I had to dive in head first, make mistakes and figure things out for myself. I've as a result of which I've had to shed a lot of my insecurities, a lot of my inhibitions, re-educate myself, if that meant going to Pochampalli, and sitting with the weavers and speaking to artisans and weavers. So yeah, I've done my bit. I have a long way to go, but I also realized that the only way to learn for me is through criticism and feedback. That's the only thing that's going to get me ahead. And trust me, I get my fair share of criticisms regularly. But I learned so much on a daily basis. My printer, he's a master printer, Venkatesh Bhaiya. His aesthetic knowledge is so far ahead of me that I consider myself fortunate enough to be his student. Craft persons are called masters for a reason. They're masters of their crafts, and I consider myself extremely fortunate that I get to share the same space as them. So yeah, Nua has been a process of learning and relearning on a daily basis, and I feel that maybe I wouldn't have had this opportunity had I continued with law. I could have afforded that sense of authority and pride because I'd studied that subject. I had working experience, but none of that is true with Nua. So it's been a very humbling process of constantly learning. So.
And when you speak of learning, I think your teachers must have been the people who make this happen, right? Your masters, like you said, the factory, your unit, not factory, sorry, but your studio workers.
Yeah.
I'm sure they are your greatest teachers at some level.
Yes, at all levels, I mean, right from, like I said, their aesthetic knowledge, literacy of, art forms and handicrafts is rare. It's not easy to come by, and if you're sharing that space with them, I think it's a privilege, it's a responsibility, and I'm extremely fortunate to have had this opportunity in my life to be doing that,
Yeah, and what an enriching experience.
Yes, of course, very enriching, my God.
to be so, deeply entrenched into roots, and not just roots of the state that you come from. And like you said, you come from, your father was in the army. So which means you had a pan-India sort of existence.
Yes,
And
yes,
I see that your textile designs have that, right? You cover Wali art, you cover art from the Methli, as in Mithila art. Am I getting that right? Mithila art. What are the other art forms that you have on your textile?
The one that I'm wearing right now is inspired by Mughal art. It's a tulip.
How nice.
We
Okay.
have a lot of Mithila art. My mother creates most of those motifs. Yeah. We do a lot of Wali art. We have a lot of motives inspired by Kalamkari art. We do a lot of abstract art and geometrical art. So yeah, it's all of art forms in India that inspire us. It's not just traditional art, but
Okay.
it's everyday art forms as well, geometric patterns and things that we see around ourselves. These are things that keep us inspired on a daily basis.
True. So when you started off Noah, what was the aim? What were you hoping to do with the brand, with the products that you were envisioning for the brand?
When I decided to quit, I was very clear about a few things. One, that I wanted to start something of my own. It had to be creative, and handmade had to be a very integral part of whatever it is that I wanted to do. Thirdly, I wanted to be a responsible owner of a business that would positively impact the society, the community, and the environment in general. And I believe that all these values that were integral to me, have fallen very beautifully and organically in Nua. Nua, by the way, means a sari in Maithili, which is my mother tongue. And the name is really apt because we began our printing journey with hand block printed saris. Of course, over the years, we've grown to include many more products within our range for women's wear. We launched home linen a couple of years back. We recently launched our kids wear line. So we've definitely grown, but our core team has remained small and very close knit. It consists of my master printer, my master tailor, and my master embroiderer, my parents, and myself. The idea is to engage as many women as we can for our stitching, embroidery, and finishing. We work with a lot of weavers directly, be it for our Mangalgiris, be it for our Kota, Tassar, Chanderi. So the idea and philosophy behind Nua is that, making sure that we are able to justify the space and the place that we occupy. A business can't just have be positively impacting the business owners. It has to somehow benefit its people who work with them and for them.
Contributing in some way and sort of enabling others is an important part of your ethos.
Yes.
As is staying rooted to traditional forms of art and weavers and such.
Yes, of course.
Okay. And so tell us, you said what Noah meant, like it means sari in your mother tongue. But we hear that you also have some stunning packaging. When people have received packages from you, they're very impressed and very thrilled to see what comes. So tell us about what feeling people are left with.
I'll tell you, Tanisha, we put in a lot of effort and put in a lot of pleasure into what we create. A lot of hard work goes into creating every single product at Noah. Right from sourcing the material from weavers, working with industry standard colors that are kid friendly, that don't damage the environment as much, right to the packaging. when you receive a Noah product, it comes in a cloth bag that is made using leftover fabric. Our labels are screen printed. We tie it up with leftover fabric. We wrap it with hand block printed newspaper.
Oh, wow.
Our paper tags are made using recycled and organic paper. Even the dory that comes with the tag is basically katran. So, at Noah, I think the endeavor is to be as sustainable as we can, to reuse, recycle, and reduce waste as much as we can. So yeah, we're constantly working towards it, and every time somebody receives a Noah product, I get so many pictures about the newspaper. Oh, this is brilliant. Oh, so it's a really warm and fuzzy feeling, because yeah, I agree, the newspaper looks delicious.
I wish you could show us a piece right now.
Give me a minute.
Sure.
Yeah.
I wonder what you have to say, Aparna, to your lawyer peers who print by the dozen.
I'm so happy that I quit law. I dream in colors. It's no longer black and white. When I
the monotony literally and the monocolors.
Yes.
You managed to get rid of both, right?
Yes, I did. Oh,
Super. Okay, wow,
Yes,
that looks lovely.
this is a newspaper. We printed on it.
Wow.
This is what we use to
stunning.
gift wrap our products. And I always get such nice fuzzy messages from people.
I can
the
only
news-
imagine.
Yeah.
So are you going to also be selling these papers? We can buy the paper also.
That's a good business idea, but not at the moment. I mean, I don't want to monetize everything.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. So we actually also wanted to understand. So you have, like we discussed this, right? You had no management degree, no design degree in place, and yet you went ahead and did this. So how relevant do you think your education, which is your formal education in law, what role has that played for you in the role of an entrepreneur?
See, education is very important. I mean, who are we kidding? And especially for women, this is the only thing that's going to launch us and take us ahead. Education can't be limited to a degree, something that you studied or earned in your early 20s or mid 20s. Knowledge is the only thing that's going to take you ahead, and you're always constantly learning. I learn from my printer, my tailor, and my embroiderer on a daily basis. But having said that, I have to give a lot of credit to being a lawyer. All those, insane hours doing paperwork and filling forms and applying for registrations came in very handy when I was doing the same for Noah. But, jokes apart, law has made me a professional that I am. It's made me a independent thinking woman. I'm aware of my rights as a woman, as an individual. I am respectful of the rights of the people who work for me, their intellectual property. I'm able to do the kind of research that I'm able to. So these are things that have shaped me, and I have just my background in law to thank for. That's not something that I can completely part with.
Correct. So you've got a lot to thank the law for.
Yes, of course. It is, I am who I am because of things that I've done in my life.
Correct. And so your journey for Noah started in 2013, right?
13, yes.
13, yeah. So it's been about 7 years. Of course, the initial years must have been difficult. And you're used to taking a certain hefty pay package home as a corporate lawyer. And from that, and sure, your husband was there, your parents were there, they were supporting you, perhaps monetarily if needed. But to know that that sum that hits your account month on month is not going to hit your account anymore. And to have invested all your money into this business, what was that monetary transition like? Because that sounds very intimidating to me.
Yes, it is intimidating. It takes very long to make peace with the fact that you're not going to get a paycheck at the end of the month or by the 7th of the month. So yeah, that's something that you have to make your peace with. As an entrepreneur, I think when you start a business, I think you go with the intention of going all out, risking it. I mean, it takes time, honestly, but I think at the end of the day, it's okay to maybe not make as much money as you did as a lawyer. But yeah, it's the small things in life that get you good sleep, I think, which matters.
True. And the kind of impact you were making, you were doing what you enjoyed. So I think that's the way of compensation, right? We only know of monetary compensation.
Yes.
But there are other ways too.
Yeah, like I said, I'm so glad when I close my eyes, I see patterns, I see designs, I dream in colors. So yeah, that's not something that I would trade for even now. So
very well said. Yeah. There's a lot of satisfaction.
Yes.
So would you then say if anybody who's looking to make a switch, right? Would you say that what would your advice be actually to anybody who's practicing the law now and then looking to make a switch?
If you feel that you're stuck in your day job as a lawyer, please understand that I think it's absolutely okay to continue to have a day job to fund your dream job later. So I would think that it's important to keep that spark alive, to not let it diminish. You don't know when that right idea is going to strike you and when the time is right for you to start out. But yeah, absolutely okay to continue working, save up, because most of us aren't lucky to have huge bank balances. Yeah, continue with the day job, of course, and fund your dream job later.
Fund your dream. That's a good one. And what would your advice be to students of law? They're still studying the law. Any piece of advice for them?
Law is such an all-encompassing area, and it touches, every aspect of your life. So if you have the opportunity to study law, I mean, definitely go for it. There's so much learning, and it's education after all. It's only going to get you ahead, right? And like I said, an education can't be limiting or holding you back ever. It's only going to get you ahead in life. So yeah, if you're studying law, please give it all you've got.
And study it well, irrespective of what your long-term plans are.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to not be able to see yourself 5 years from now, where or answer that question, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? It's okay. You'll get there. We all do.
True. It's a process, right? And sometimes it's a painfully slow process.
Painfully slow process. Yeah, but we'll all get there.
Get there at some point. Okay, that's optimism, but that's the end of that tunnel. And tell us, Aparna, a couple of large lessons that came your way when you started the journey of being an entrepreneur.
One of the most important lessons that I've learned, and that's been reinforced in the last couple of months, is how important people are to a business. You have to value the people on both sides of the equation, the people who work for you as well as your customers. The past few months, COVID's made things very difficult for us. We've been shut for 3 months, but it was the people who work with us who stood by us, and it was our customers who pushed us, instilled faith in us to start again, you know. So I think products, sales, these are things that are secondary. You know, it's the people that matter, and like I said, this learning has been reinforced in the last couple of months. So yeah,
People matter.
that's my biggest
That's your
learning.
biggest learning.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, fair. Super. And where can we check out your products and order them from?
So we recently launched my website. That's www.nuadesigns.com. Please stop by, browse, take a look, and please share with people you think would appreciate handmade products. I'm pretty active on Instagram. If you like something, please message me. In fact, you know, I think this is a good platform to, you know, tell people that this is the time to support small craft-based business, not just mine. I mean, you know, we're all suffering now, the artisans, the weavers. So please shop responsibly and you know, contribute as much as you can to a small craft-based business. I mean, now more than ever is when we need responsible shoppers and customers.
Well said there, Aparna. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was very, very interesting to learn about your journey, to hear from you straight up from the horse's mouth what the journey's been like. Thank you. We really enjoyed this conversation.
Yes, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on Derac. This is such a good initiative, Tanisha. I wish I had this, you know, inspiring conversations when I was thinking about what to do, what not to do. This is so helpful. You know, it makes so much of a difference to, like you said, students and lawyers who feel stuck in their job. So yeah, good job.
Thank you, Aparna. We're grateful that you think like this. Same, you know, when we were all making that transition, we hoped that we would hear of such conversation.
Yes,
And the Derac community is built exactly for this, to empower those who feel like they're stuck and they need to make the switch. There's so many of us. Just come talk to us, brainstorm with us. You know, we're always available. And yeah, thank you, Aparna, for being part of the community. It means a lot to us.
Thank you, Tanisha, for having me.
And for those watching, please do check out her website, Nua Designs, and do order. And if you want a referral code for a 10% discount, then Aparna will work something out for you.
I will. Maybe Tanisha 10%.
Yeah, you call it the grey matter 10% off.
Oh yeah, good idea. We'll do.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone for watching. And
Yes,
please
thank
join
you so
us
much.
on Sunday for our unscripted episode. We're joining Mrinalini Deshmukh and Devika Deshmukh Doshi to chat with us. They're both matrimonial and family lawyers, pretty well established in the practice. We hope to see you on Sunday and subsequently again next Friday on the Derac Chat series.
Definitely.
Thanks for watching. Thanks, Aparna.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.